Plano, Texas is a little suburb just north of Dallas, and it has about 300,000 people living there. Now, it started out as a little farming community back in the 1870s, and then in the 1950s and 60s, the developers moved in and they started building it up on the east side of town, and then that moved across the west side of town and then up north through Frisco. Now, Plano must be doing something right because niche.com just named Plano as one of the top 12 cities in the entire United States. So I guess there's a good reason why their slogan is the city of excellence. So in this video, we're going to talk about all the reasons why people love Plano, and we're also going to talk about the reasons why they might not be loving Plano as well. So be sure to watch until the end so you can get all the info to help you make a decision on whether or not Plano is right for you. So let's get started. If this is your first time to the channel and you're excited to learn everything there is to know about the Dallas-Fort Worth area, be sure to subscribe below and tap the bell for notifications so you're always up to date on the latest market insights. My name's Tara McGraw. I'm a realtor here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I help people like you every single day. So whether you're looking to move in 9 days or 90 days across country or across the globe, feel free to reach out. My contact information is in the description below. My team and I would love to help you make a smooth transition to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Now let's get into the pros and cons of Plano, Texas. So what's great and what's not great about Plano? Let's start with the pros. Safety is always a major concern for people when they're moving to the area. They always want to know how safe is the neighborhood. Well, according to areavibes.com, Plano gets a B+ rating. So I realize that an A or an A+ is going to sound a little better, but when you're looking at an F over in Dallas, that B+ is looking pretty good. But that still gets you 25% lower than the state crime rate average, and it's 57% lower than the national average crime rate for violent crimes. Y'all, I had no idea it was getting so crazy out there. No wonder you guys are moving here. 57%, I mean, come on. Plano is more like your property crime kind of crimes. Now, there's going to be some violent crimes too, because that's just going to happen anywhere that you live, but you're looking at more property crimes, which is your, theft, your shoplifting, your vandalism, and things like that. So if that's something that you're really worried about, then you can always look at a gated community, and there are a lot of gated communities to choose from in Plano. So the thing about that, though, is that you need to consider the extra cost of the HOA, because that's what's going to pay the guard and take care of the fence and the different security features. Your HOA is going to cover that. So you have to think about that. And you also have to think about the price point of those homes. It's going to be a little bit higher. So if you can get over $1 million, then you can look at more of a gated community type situation. But otherwise, B+, not doing too bad, Plano. Now let's talk schools. If you watched the vlog tour that I did, then you'll know that niche.com gave Plano an A to A+ rating on all of their schools. So that is just outstanding. There are 44 different elementary schools that take kindergarten through 5th grade. So if there's one of those schools that you really want your child to go to, we can narrow your search results down to that school and that school only. But with so many great options, I really don't think you can go wrong anywhere. But there are also 13 middle schools that take 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. 9th and 10th graders are going to go to junior high, and there are 6 of those. 11th and 12th graders go to senior high, and there are 3 of those. Now, the great thing about Plano is that there is a 92% graduation rate. That is 18% higher than the state of Texas and 11% higher than the U.S. graduation average. So we've got some great teachers in Plano. Bravo to you. There are private school options if that is what you would like your child to do and you have the money and you want to do that. Well, there are plenty of private schools that are great too. If you want a faith-based school or, a school for learning differences, we have those in Plano as well. But Plano ISD, top rated, and they have all kinds of programs for all kinds of kiddos. So be sure to check that out. All right, now jobs. We've already talked about in the map video that the commute downtown from Plano is not great. It's just not great. It's never going to be great. 75 is a hot mess. Dallas North Tollway can be a hot mess at times. You know, once people get tired of 75, then they pay to get on the tollway, and then it's a hot mess too. So the commute downtown is never going to be great from Plano. So if that's your only choice, maybe you can leave at a different time, you know, maybe a little early or a little later to avoid traffic. Otherwise, you might need to get an audiobook or something like that, because it's just not going to be great. But the great news is there is a lot of opportunity right in Plano. Now, obviously, if you can get a job that you can work remotely from, then you don't have to worry about commuting anywhere. But if you're a healthcare worker, for example, there are 3 major hospitals in Plano. You've got Medical City Plano, Baylor Scott and White, and Presbyterian Plano. So those are 3 great hospitals that provide a lot of jobs. There's also a huge medical complex in Allen and Frisco. So, you know, as long as you're kind of commuting to the north, it's really not so bad when you have to commute at all. But plenty of healthcare jobs in Plano. Now, if you're not in the healthcare industry, then there are plenty of other jobs. Corporations have been moving to Plano. So Frito-Lay, PepsiCo, Bank of America, AT&T. I just had a client move here from Chicago who is working for AT&T now. So you've got JCPenney, Samsung, oh, and Toyota. That's a huge employer around here. Toyota has its American headquarters here, and it is a city inside a city. I mean, you wouldn't believe this place. I've never been inside, I've just seen pictures, but it's crazy. They have everything there. So huge amount of jobs in the Plano area if you don't want to commute downtown and you don't have anything remote. So lots of opportunity there. Now, the average household income in Plano is a little over $96,000 a year, and that is 74% higher, according to World Atlas, than the U.S. national average. So people in Plano, they're not doing too shabby, so you might consider it. Now on to entertainment. So again, quoting worldatlas.com, Plano, Texas was rated one of the top 12 cities to live in due to their parks and recreation facilities and their mixed urban lifestyle. So mixed urban lifestyle, what they mean by that is that we have a couple of areas of town that are kind of walkable. So there's the downtown area that has retail and living space above it, and also Legacy West and the shops of Legacy have that sort of, you know, retail with the living above it. So you get a little bit of that urban within the suburban kind of feel. So you have that opportunity, but you also have this incredible parks and recreation system. So it feels like there's a park on every corner in Plano. I know there's not, but it feels like it because they're everywhere and they're beautiful, and you will love that. So you can walk, you can take your dog out there, you can go, you know, throw the ball, whatever, but the parks are amazing in Plano. They have 2 nature preserves. There's one on the west side called Arbor Hills, and it is a 200-acre preserve where you can go hiking, biking. Some of the trails are paved, some of them are not, and it's just really beautiful over there. Then there's also Oak Point Nature Preserve, which is on the east side, and that is an 800-acre preserve. So over there you can do all the hiking and biking and all of that, but they also have some ponds where they'll let you fish. Now it's catch and release, but you can fish, and you can do stand-up paddle boarding, kayaking, things like that over at Oak Point. So those 2 places are awesome. And then on top of that, there are all of these rec centers where you can use their gym, you can go to the pool, they have camps for the kids, all kinds of classes, and just, you know, all sorts of different things going on at the rec centers. And you can get a membership there if you live in Plano for $399, but that covers the whole family. You can get individual ones too, but the $399 one covers your kids and everybody. I don't know how many kids, but you know, you'll have to talk to them about that. But lots of parks and recreation in Plano for entertainment. Now, nightlife. Now, people try to say it's a con in Plano and that there isn't any nightlife. Well, there is nightlife. You just have to know where to go for it. So Legacy West has lots of restaurants, shopping, all of that, but they have some nightlife too. So there's Kai Sushi, where you can go have dinner and all that. Well, after a certain hour, the DJ starts playing and they have a little lounge scene there. There is a place called, what's it called? Legacy Hall. The Legacy Hall is an area where bands play, and then there are different little eateries all around there and little bars, and you can hang out and have a drink and listen to music. You can go to the truck yard, which is actually in the Colony, but it's right on the edge of Plano. And that's a cool place where it's all outdoors. They have covered spaces too, but on a nice night, you go out there, you can listen to music, hang out, have a drink. They've got all kinds of cool stuff. So lots of nightlife, even though, some people might say that there's not. But like I said, you just need to know where to look. Lots of restaurants also. You've got nice ones like the Double Eagle Steakhouse, Del Frisco's Double Eagle. That's up at Legacy West. There is Steve Fields. They just built a new one over at Park and Preston. So you've got some nice steakhouse options if you want to go on a little date night and get dressed up. Or, you can just, you have all the regular chain stuff too, but there are a lot of, more upscale dining experiences in Plano. There is Goat and Vine at Park and Preston. There's a Rise there now. They're just really a Toulouse. You could go to Toulouse. Now on to the cons. So people complain a little bit about the cost of living in Plano because the average home in Plano does cost around $549,000. The national average is a little over $400,000. So, yes, it is a little more expensive in Plano, but you can still find things that are around $400,000. It just might need a little bit of updating. It could still have a good roof and it might not have foundation issues or anything, and it might just need some cosmetic work. So I do know where to find those houses if you're okay with doing a little bit of work. And might I add, in my humble opinion, I think it's a good investment when you do the work over time, because you can get it so much cheaper on the front end, and then it adds value as you go, and you're also, the home value is going up at the same time. And then when you go to sell, now you've got this updated house that has appreciated a lot. So that's something to consider. All hope is not lost in Plano if you can't get a $549,000 house. Now, another thing that people complain about here, and I do as well, and I've lived here my whole life, is the weather. Now, that is anywhere in Texas, okay? Anywhere in Texas is gonna have the same weather pretty much. It's hot. It's hot in the summer in Texas, okay? It's not Plano specific. Any of the areas around Dallas is going to be hot in the summer, okay? But it's a drier heat than say like Houston. Houston's more humid. The further you get to the coast, it's going to get a little bit stickier. I mean, it can get sticky in the Dallas area too, but not as bad as Houston. So that always cheers me up a little bit to know that at least it's not as bad as down there, okay? But it's going to get hot here in the summer. But you know what? They always told me growing up, if you don't like the weather, just wait a minute, because the weather changes a lot in Texas. 1 minute it's warm, 1 minute it's raining, then it's cold. I mean, you just never know what you're gonna get. Now, June, July, and August, it's gonna be hot, okay? The rest of the year, you're never really sure. It can change up a lot. Now, we don't really get a lot of snow or ice. We get that maybe like once a year, maybe in January or February, but it's usually only for a few days, and like the whole city shuts down because no one knows how to drive on it, and it's actually pretty funny, and all the kids get to stay out of school, and they're super excited, and it's a whole thing. So snow days in Texas are not snow days like other parts of the country. Sometimes there's not even snow. Sometimes it's just really cold, and so they don't want to, stress the power grid by running the heat at the schools, so they just let everyone stay home. So the weather. The weather can be a con here, but once you get used to it, it's really not that bad. Now, another complaint that people have about Plano is the transit system. We don't really have a lot of public transportation. There are buses, I see them, I get stuck behind them all the time. So there are buses, okay? I don't know anybody that rides them, but there are buses. There is a train system, the DART rail, that goes, it stops in downtown Plano. So if you're in downtown Plano and you wanted to ride that downtown and back up, you can do that. Again, don't know anybody that does that. It's a car city, it's a driving city. The whole Dallas-Fort Worth area is a driving city. So you're gonna need a car. So if you're coming from New York and you're used to walkable, neighborhoods, we really don't have a lot of options for that. So you're gonna wanna have a car because another con is not having the walkability maybe of other cities. Now the last con people complain about are the property taxes. Well, yes, we have property taxes everywhere in Texas, but we don't have a state income tax. So while our property taxes may be a little bit higher, we don't have that state income tax that maybe other states have. So that is a really nice positive thing. Well, in Plano, their property taxes are about 2%, which I really don't think that that's that bad. There are places that have it a little bit lower, like 1.9, in there, but it's pretty close. So I don't feel like the property taxes are high in Plano. Now in Dallas, you get over there and you're starting to look at 2.2, 2.5, I think is the highest that I've seen over in Grand Prairie. But, we don't have anything like that up in Plano. So people can complain all they want, but that's not that bad. There are exemptions. You can get the homestead exemption. If you're a senior, there's a senior exemption. If you served in the military, there's a military exemption. There's things for disabilities and things like that that can help offset that cost. Now, we did recently get a hike in the homestead exemption, which is great because it used to be $50,000. Like you could subtract $50,000 from the value of your home and only pay taxes on the rest. Well, they just upped it because of all the, prices going up. They just upped it to $100,000. So that's good news. And that provided a little bit of relief for people on their property taxes. But, people say it's a con, but overall, I don't really think it's that bad. I'd rather pay property taxes than income tax, to be honest. And the last thing that I'll say about Plano and Collin County in general is that it is politically more conservative. Now, there are people on both sides of the aisle that live there and, everybody gets along and it's no big deal, but it does typically lean more to the conservative side. So, whether that's a pro to you or a con, I don't know. I'll just leave that up to you to decide. But, just in case you're wondering, because you're moving from a state where it's one way or the other and your views are different and you're wondering how that's going to go, well, it is a little more conservative up there in Plano. But, like I said, everybody's friendly, everybody gets along. It's the friendship state in Texas. So you don't really have to worry about that. We just always say don't talk about politics or religion, at dinner parties. So, maybe just keep that one to yourself. Well, that wraps up the pros and cons to living in the Plano, Texas area. Thanks for watching. And as always, whether you're considering a move in 9 days or 90 days across country or across the globe, feel free to reach out. My contact information is in the description below. Shoot me a text, send me an email. I'm here to answer any of your questions, and I'd love to help you make a smooth transition to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And until next time, I'll see you in the next video.